Hey everyone, welcome to Hidden Power. My name is Dusty Go-Goat. Today we're going to be talking about the post-game of Scarlet and Violet. We're going to be discussing Paradox Pokemon and how that fits into the Pokemon universe. We're going to be also discussing DLC for Scarlet and Violet, as well as the implications for future Pokemon projects based on what we find out in the post-game of Scarlet and Violet in Area Zero. I'm joined today by the Lumios Post.
Hey guys, I'm excited to talk about DLC. We are missing Soul today, but he is with us in spirit, in soul, if you will.
Yeah, in Soul. So Soul has not finished the game yet. That's why he's being excluded from this conversation. We've both played through Scarlet and Violet. I want to get your first reactions of the post-game itself. You get to Area Zero, that's amazing. And then everything that transpires, the reveal of time travel.
I thought it was great. I found myself when I was playing through the game, when I was around 10 to 12 badges in of 18, I started kind of going, man, I wish that they brought the plot a little bit sooner. You know, I'm excited to get to the plot involving the legendaries and the professors.
Yeah.
And once I got there, I was like, oh, you know what? The wait was worth it. I thought the plot, it surpasses anything for a Pokemon game for me. I think previously I would have told you that the best Pokemon game plot is Black and White. Certainly Black, White, and Black 2 and White 2 if you pair them together, since one's a sequel. But these games, I just think they were the right amount of dark. It was like a sci-fi horror, right?
Really
that's
yeah.
so cool. Dusty, you and I are big Star Wars fans, so just to get some sci-fi elements in this was just super neat to me.
Sidebar, I don't think Star Wars is not a sci-fi. Star Wars is a fantasy.
It's a space opera. Yeah.
It's a fantasy, but it's in outer space. Had to go.
You had to let me know that.
You. Yeah, I just had to make. That's my thing. I'm a purist. I think it was actually, so people kept saying they were crying because of this game, because of Arvin and his ugly evil dog, right? But this is really where my opinion on Scarlet and Violet really turned around. I was having a ton of fun in Scarlet and Violet in the beginning, and it kind of pittered out. It was not as fun in the middle. I felt like I was over leveled, but as soon as I got to Area Zero, I was captivated. I'm like, this is the game that I actually want to see. It actually gets me excited for DLC maybe, right? If we get I'm getting ahead of myself, but I love it. You get so much exposition from all the characters as you travel all the way down, spiraling down to the bottom of Area Zero. You're seeing all these new mysterious Pokemon jump out at you. Just like you said, like a sci-fi horror movie. That's definitely what it felt like. I guess, some moments of Star Wars that remind me of this is when they're on the when they think they're on a crater and it's actually the inside of a Pokemon that looks like Orthworm actually, and the what do they call, Minox, jump out to scare them. I think it's really cool, and in a way that I always thought that the Paradox Pokemon were going to be very similar to the Ultra Beast, and in some ways they really are, right? They come through a space-time portal of some sort, right? But I feel like playing this on the TV with the gorgeous music of the Area Zero, just having these Pokemon pop out as you're slowly learning more and more about them. How long do you think? What was it, 2-3 hours maybe that you spend in that last stretch of the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would probably guess 2-3 hours. Especially if you kind of indulge in it and explore a little bit too, which I found myself doing. Especially when we got to the cave part of Area Zero, I wasn't just heading towards the time machine. I was walking around, looking at all the Glamora floating around. Yeah, I was taking it in.
Okay, so I kind of have this theory. I haven't actually finalized it in a video yet. I don't think Glamora is a Paradox Pokemon, but I do kind of. I don't know. So I kind of feel like Glamora is from the time machine. That's kind of my pet theory right now. It's so bizarre. It does not feel like anything that would exist in a modern Pokemon game. Not a modern Pokemon game, but the modern Pokemon universe. Isn't it based on a chemical or something? And what I remember is in the past. Actually, I guess if you were to go to another planet, there's going to be tons of life forms, microscopic, maybe even bigger. I don't know. It does not feel like a Pokemon. It feels like an outer space creature or something that might be roaming a super hot unhospitable planet. Anyways, I just wanted to get
Yeah,
that
no,
out there.
I think that's what they were going for. It's based off of, if I'm not mistaken, copper sulfate, which is like
Okay.
a chemical. It's like a mineral, but it is also a chemical that's very poisonous. And
Okay.
I think that is kind of the vibe that I got as well. Like I kind of felt like running around with all the Glamora, like we maybe should have
Yeah.
been wearing hazmat suits,
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and for the record, its typing is only shared by one other Pokemon, and that's an Ultra Beast. That's Nihilego.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. That is
Right.
another thing that I was thinking
So I think
about.
they were going for. I think they did want it to feel. I don't think it's an Ultra Beast, and I don't think it's a Paradox, but I
No.
think they did want it to at least give the vibe of a very extraterrestrial, fantastical kind of feel. I'm a big
Yeah.
James Cameron Avatar guy. That's of course
great
the
point.
blue people and not the airbenders. But
Yeah.
I got huge
They do- yeah,
Avatar
they-
vibes from seeing this thing.
They seem like something straight from what is the planet called in Avatar?
Pandora.
Yeah, it seems like something straight out of Pandora. So I guess something else I want to talk about is like I'm pretty sure that Paradox is not really like an official classification of these Pokemon that are. So like I don't think I think anything that comes from the past or the future, right? Anything that's like been depicted in the Scarlet or Violet book has been dubbed Paradox by humans by the authors of these books, right? I don't really think it's like Ultra Beast where it's like a specific scientific definition. So in some way, I think Glamora could actually be a paradox, I guess, or I don't think Paradox, whether or not it's Paradox or not, I don't really think that like defines whether or not it comes from the past or the future.
Yeah, well, a paradox is that's like two docks sitting next to each other. I'm kidding, but I always have to make that joke.
That's
but,
so funny.
It's
I haven't heard someone make that joke yet.
I think it's supposed to be like the paradox of it is that Iron Treads shouldn't exist yet.
Yeah.
Because Dawn fans still exist. So that's kind of the paradox of it. It's like
Okay.
it's like the whole thing of like if you went back and killed your granddad before he ever had
Sure.
kids, would you be able to go back and kill your granddad because you killed him before he could have kids? You were never born, so it creates a paradox,
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I guess the question is like, okay, so does Glamora, like, is there another version of Glamora that exists or might exist in our timeline, right? There were a lot of theories when we saw the leaked image of Glamora that we were like, oh, it's Cradily, or it looks like a grass type Pokemon.
Maybe Cradily is the paradox of Glamora.
Maybe. I have no idea, but just something to think about. Also,
Right.
I guess the last thing is that just the last thing on this theory is that like all of these Paradox Pokemon don't evolve, right? And Glamora obviously evolves from, I don't even know what its previous evolution is. Yeah, Glimmet. Yep. But we also, Ultra Beasts were established not to evolve, and then eventually we got Poipole and Naganadel, who do evolve, and I guess also Nebby evolves into the legendaries.
Yeah,
So,
again, I guess this is getting ahead of ourselves, but with Isle of Armor, we got an evolving legendary with Cubfu.
Yeah.
I've been
that's true.
thinking I would love for DLC we to like get a Paradox Pokemon that evolves. I would like if like maybe it was like a newer Paradox, like maybe it was a Paradox of something else that's introduced in DLC, kind of like
Sure.
Koraidon and Miraidon, where it felt special because they were Paradox of a Gen 9 Pokemon. But
Yeah, no, that is cool, and I think when we do have confirmation from the leakers that there is going to be some sort of, actually not even from the leakers at this point, the information is in the Scarlet and Violet text, the book
Right.
that is in the video game Scarlet and Violet, that there's going to be some sort of legendary beast or paradox beast based on Suicune, Entei, and Raikou, and then there's also one for the Swords of Justice. So it's this. I don't have it right here in front of me. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to those specifically.
Yeah,
so
no,
here's
they're gonna
the
be
Dawn
cool.
fan. Is there any other Pokemon? Yeah, here it is right here. Is there any other Pokemon that you think? Because I mean, just because they've hinted this doesn't mean there's not going to be more in the DLC that they could reveal to us.
I recently did a video on like a theory I had around Paradox Pokemon, and someone commented this, and like kind of been obsessed with it since. I know that we are sick of, I say we, I'm lying, I don't agree with this, but I know a lot of people are really sick of the Gen 1 starters shilling, but man, I'd love to see Paradox versions of the Kanto starters. I think that would be
really cool.
So cool. They said Paradox Venusaur, and I was like, man, that would be so cool. Like, imagine like a grass dragon Venusaur, a fire dragon Charizard, and not the Mega.
Those have existed.
And then,
yeah, no, that's really cool. That I feel like ancient and future Pokemon has been a thing in the community, something that people have wanted for a long time. There's tons of art.
Absolutely.
There's tons of art depicting it. It's actually super cool. Now there's some of my favorite artists, Fakemon artists, are actually now making Pokemon designs based on or based on Paradox Pokemon, and they can give it proper names. Right? It's not just Proto and Neo Pokemon. Now they can actually give them like crazy names that match. Oh, dude, that's another thing. It's like these Paradox Pokemon. They actually don't have names. Their names are their like official canon names are actually like Great Tusk, right? But that name has been given to that Paradox Pokemon from the perspective of the author of the Pokedex or whoever discovered these Pokemon originally. And that reminds me of Professor Lavington, right? Who, like, in the Dex entries, they're all like very fearful, ignorant. Their descriptions of the Pokemon from the perspective of someone who fears Pokemon.
I will say, like, the thing that's interesting about that too is that Koraidon and Miraidon are Paradox Pokemon with actual names. Koraidon and Miraidon, but they do have. I don't know if you caught. They do have actual Paradox names.
This seems to be the Winged King mentioned in an old expedition journal. It was said to have split the land with its bare fists. That is really cool. So that's so sick. So I mean, I don't think they're actually going to give us like real names for the other ones, because the other Paradox then will just like feel that much more mysterious. And I think it's I don't know.
I wish there was an explanation for why Koraidon and Miraidon got a name, the other ones didn't. I guess it's just because since the professor bonded with them, it gave them a name.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. That's definitely what it is. And this one's called Iron Serpent. That's so cool. So something I used to do with, this is off topic, but something that I used to do with the Ultra Beasts is because they all have like UB, like I don't even know what they're called. UB like
Glutton is one.
Yeah, Glutton is Guzzlord, right? So like I thought that like naming convention was so cool. And what I would do is like I would go any Pokemon that I would catch, especially shinies that I would catch through Ultra wormholes, right? Canonically, from the perspective of my character in the save file, those Pokemon are Ultra Beasts because they're only accessible through Ultra wormholes. So I used to like name like I don't even know, like I think I named like a shiny Quagsire UB Damp or something, right? I don't know. That's a bad name, but I thought that was fun, and I think what I can probably do now is like have fun naming other Pokemon after this naming convention.
I loved how fantastical these did feel. And also, before I forget, I do have to point this out about this. One thing I really appreciated, because I have always harped on Pokemon for this, is Pokemon can be really, really daunting with their dialogue sometimes. Yeah. And I love that in the Way Home plot, as you were running around Area Zero, they were doing the dialogue. So you were actively moving around instead of like, let's pause for a 5-minute cutscene while Arven talks about his backstory. No, instead they were letting me explore the cool, like, Pandora-like world while Arven talks about his backstory.
Yeah, and also, like, there was a part of me, I think when I was doing that, like, there was some other stuff happening, and we were, like, getting ready to leave. So I was trying to, like, not get through it, but I was trying to, like, enjoy it before I actually had to leave. But someone was, like, asking me questions, and I'd be like, oh, okay, but I have to get back to the text. I feel like the urgency of the text, because you couldn't, like, it was like doubly good. It was good because it was quick and it kept going, but also like it gave it more importance. And I felt like I was literally glued to the screen for like 30 minutes or however long it was.
Felt like you were in a movie, not a video game.
Yeah, definitely. So it says Glamora's petals are made of crystallized poison energy. It has recently become evident these petals resemble Terrajewels. I kind of like the idea of like maybe like poisonous jewel. That's kind of lame. I just said it out loud. That's kind of lame.
Toxic Jewel.
Toxic Jewel, yeah.
I mean, they're all weird like that. I mean,
they're so weird.
Great Tusk isn't exactly a creative name.
Yeah,
I think, like the one that's creative is like I like the way Slitherwing sounds.
Slitherwing is cool, yeah. Actually,
I was telling my wife Fluttermane sounds like it would be the name of like a My Little Pony or something, you know? I hate that one.
So actually, this page right here is floating around Twitter. It's what the author of the book, he or she draws all of these different types of Pokemon, and a lot of them we just know what they are. One of them is Flamigo. You can see the one in the middle looks like Glamora. You can see Palmot. There's Palmo. There's what is it? Naclies, the mid-stage evolution. Yeah, Naclestack. Such a cool Pokemon. And then there's this one that looks like a gorilla. I feel like that is definitely Slaking. What do you think?
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
I think it's, yeah.
It's strange because it's not actually available in Area Zero, right?
Yeah. I probably was at one point and they just removed it or something. I don't know. Yeah. It is weird that they just randomly take one line out of out of Area Zero. It almost makes me wonder because, like, think about the Pokemon that are found in Area Zero. You can't find they don't have paradoxes. So I wonder if they remove slacking because they're planning a slacking paradox.
That's actually really cool.
I feel like that'd be a good one to do. I could very easily see an ancient form of slacking.
Yeah, where it doesn't have. I mean, its stats are already busted, but it just doesn't have slow start. I guess there's a couple. There's a couple different directions we could go with this. I don't know. Do you want to talk about how your new theory about Mega Evolution and how that ties in with the Paradox Pokemon?
Yeah. So where this all started with is that if you look at Roaring Moon's, I believe it's Violet Dex entry, it states that it resembles a phenomenon that occurs in another region or something to that effect. And basically that is obviously a reference to Mega Evolution. You know, that's a phenomenon that occurs in Kalos or Hoenn, or Kanto if you're playing Let's Go, or Alola. But
the Dex entry is, according to an article in a dubious magazine, this Pokemon has some connection to a phenomenon that occurs in a certain region. Did you memorize that?
Well, I did a video on it, so it is kind of glued in my head. You know?
Okay. I was hoping that. Okay, all right.
But Mega Salamence obviously very much resembles Roaring Moon, especially with the wing shape being that crescent moon shape. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense. That Salamence, it's Mega looking like that. It would make sense if what that is, Mega Evolution, is just because Roaring Moon's the ancestor to Salamence. It is just that latent DNA of Roaring Moon still in Salamence's genes coming out. And, the Mega Evolution symbol, and I can't take credit for this, it was a comment on my video that stated this, but it was, they said that the Mega Evolution symbol even is DNA, so it's very implicative that it is DNA. Another thing that I went with this was that Lucario, if you look at its Mega looks very similar to, like, the designs of past Paradox Pokemon. You know what I mean? And other Pokemon, too. I just think that Mega Lucario is a good example of it. It looks like it's just a more primal, rugged form of it. I used Donphan as the comparison because I thought that was the best one, where, like, Donphan to Great Tusk is this more rugged appearance. And I highly recommend all of you listening check out, like, the full theory for all of it. But one more point that I will cover from it is that Mega Aerodactyl, it even does state that this is what they believed that Aerodactyl truly looked like in the past. So also kind of, you've got a Pokedex confirming that a Mega is what they believed it looked like in the past, and a Pokedex confirming that the thing from the past looks very similar to a Mega. So Game Freak clearly wants you to look in that direction,
Yeah, so I've got another point that I'm just thinking of now that would add to your theory. Megaladias and Megaladios always bothered me how they looked identical, right? But wouldn't it make a lot of sense if they shared an ancestor Pokemon? You can call it Paradox, whatever. Like, if they shared an ancestor and basically they're so close that their Mega forms just turn them into that original version that was purple.
Absolutely. And it's been really cool because, like, I've had comments kind of expand on my theory for me because I think a lot of people are buying into this. Yeah. And, like, one thing they said about Mewtwo, because I said Mewtwo does kind of create a hole in the theory because it doesn't have an ancestor. It's a clone of Mew, right?
Yeah, but Mew has an ancestor.
Oh, what they point out was that Mega Mewtwo Y, for one, does look a little bit closer to Mew than, say, actual Mewtwo.
Yeah.
But also, Mew has the DNA of all Pokemon in it.
Yeah.
So, of course, Mewtwo would, by default, have the DNA of all Pokemon in it.
Is that canonical that Mew actually has the... Because I always felt like Mew being the ancestor of all Pokemon, like, I always felt like that wasn't really a thing.
It's in the Pokedex. It says that it's believed.
Yeah, but the Pokedex has been wrong many times. Yeah, believed to be, because that we understand that that's not really how biology works. There's like a trillion things that evolve into a trillion more things, right?
I'm not sure if they've ever like super canonically like explained it, but I know that they've definitely teased it in the past. I believe the idea is just that Mew was like created by Arceus to kind of like think about how, like, you know, if you look at like the Jewish or Christian or a couple other religions, like there was one man like Adam at first, and that's all of our common ancestor. I think that's the idea. Is Mew is in this scenario Adam.
Yes. So I think the way I look at the megaforms for Mewtwo, and we're definitely, I feel like we're maybe getting off track. I look at Mega Mewtwo Y as the gene of Mew, where Mega Mewtwo X is highlighting the gene of the human, right? Because Mewtwo is it's human DNA mixed with Mew, right? And that's why it's fighting type.
If you look at its Dex entry in Pokemon X, it says, because it can use all kinds of moves, many scientists believe Mew to be the ancestor of Pokemon. That's why Dex entry said its DNA is said to contain the genetic codes of all Pokemon, which is why it can use all kinds of moves. But either way, like, so that was a cool thing, kind of people building off of it and connecting Mew and Mewtwo in it.
I think it's cool. I guess the only thing now is like, how do I guess that totally makes sense for the past Paradox, right? But then it's like, what the heck are the future Paradox? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the future Paradox. So it's kind of cool that like the game gives us some, I guess it's like rumors within the game of what they are. Yeah. Like they say that Iron Moth is a UFO sent by invading aliens to spy on us and look for a good time to strike. It
floats. It looks like a little like a little nanobot.
And the wings are more like little panels that kind of flicker or whatever. Like they'll kind of move slightly. Iron Jugulus is said to be like a high dragon and a robot that fell in love and had a baby.
Which I feel like none of these are right. I feel like these are interpretations of modern day people not understanding what they are. So
no, that's exactly what it is. It's like, imagine like, so, you know, we have tons of cryptids in our worlds, things like the lizard man that was local to where I was growing up. And some people said that the lizard man was just an alligator, and it very well could have been. But some people believe that it is a giant 6-foot lizard that can stand on its hind legs and is running around tearing up cars. You know, so it's people's perceptions of something they maybe don't understand.
Sure.
You know? And these things, given that they're time displaced, would be hard to understand.
Yeah. I think also, I don't know. So what I told you this off camera. I sent you a text. I kind of feel like these have to be I feel like the future Paradox are like AI or I guess like cyborg in some way, right? I mean, I don't think they're fully robot, but they have to be organic in some way. And it's like kind of hard to wrap my mind around it, but I think what kind of makes sense is like these could be a way to revive things that are now extinct, right? So maybe in the future, Hydreigon is extinct in some way, so that's why then it was like somehow revived. But like, is it revived by humans? I don't really know.
Yeah, so I guess this will be like our pop culture reference episode. But like, are you familiar with the Avengers movies? You know, the Marvel movies.
What is that?
Are you familiar?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I didn't know if you didn't hear me.
Yeah, no.
So you know, they have. One of the characters is Vision. He's a robot that was like brought to life by a stone, and
Vision's
like the whole thing is that
the Red Witch.
I mean, not anymore, but you know, you're behind.
Okay, sorry.
But
I watched WandaVision. Is that the person we're talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, the idea behind that is he is a robot. Like, he is completely mechanical material, but through the use of an Infinity Stone, which is like
Yeah.
Marvel's like cosmic things, he gained life. But it's not like life like he can power on. No, it's like he has essentially has a soul. Right.
Shout
And
out Soul Silver Art.
Right. He's, like I said, he's with us in this episode. But I think the idea here is like, to trace it back to Mega Evolution, an Infinity Stone brought Vision to life. Maybe infinite energy brought these robots to life. I mean, because I do kind of get the vibe that, like, I've wondered if these things are even related to Hydreigon at all. Like, I feel like this isn't a future Hydreigon.
It's a depiction.
This is a robot Hydreigon.
It's almost like how we don't understand these Paradox Pokemon. Maybe they don't even quite understand. Like, these things have been created. One of the deck entries says 1 billion. I don't think it's 1 billion years in the future. But, like, let's say from whenever these were created, they're not biologically related to Hydreigon, but it's a depiction of what maybe Hydreigon used to be, and they interpret, it had these like purple ruffles on their face and on their hands. Those must be LED screens, and then it becomes an LED screen.
Yeah, that worked
right.
Good.
And that would explain why it's not a dragon. It's just dark flying type. Oh, it just hovers.
Right. And doesn't have that levitate ability anymore.
It doesn't. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do love the little wacky descriptions they give for him, though. Like, another fun one is Iron Hands. That's the Hariyama Paradox. Is said to be like an athlete that was made into a cyborg or something.
That's so funny because it is an athlete. It's a sumo wrestler.
Right.
Yeah, cyborg was said to be modified. It's said to be. It's never like it is. It is said to be.
Well, I think because the idea is they're not that. It's like I said, it's a human's explanation of them. Someone saw it could have been a bear and said, "Oh, there's a Sasquatch roaming around California."
Dude, that's sick. All right, I feel like we're really getting to the bottom of these. So like, I don't know. We definitely got to rank these at some point. When Soul's on, we got to like do like a tier list with all of these.
Absolutely.
But
do you have any favorites that stand out to you though?
I really am falling in love. So what was Great Tusk? I used it on my playthrough. I love it so much. It's so fierce. It's what Donphan should have been. I love how like its tusks have like overgrown that they're almost like hitting itself. Like it's like so maximal, and it looks like a lizard. It's got these like scales. It's spiny. It's so sick, dude. I think it's so dope. It's so dope.
Yeah,
Great Tusk is awesome.
Tusk is cool. Yeah,
but I also am starting to fall in love with Slitherwing. I think that thing's really cool.
Slitherwing should have been in. This is from Soul. Slitherwing should have been Bug Dragon.
Preach, yeah. I was making a sandwich, and it called for spicy honey, and so I really want to train up one of these Slitherwings and name it Hot Honey. It just looks like a spicy honey. I don't know.
That's actually really funny.
That's the nickname.
Did not catch that you were talking about picnicking. I thought you were just telling me about how you were making a sandwich.
I actually was talking about a real sandwich, not even a picnic.
Hot honey, that sounds good, man. What else did you put on it?
It was buffalo chicken dip in the sandwich on the sourdough with the hot honey, and it was delicious. And it was
amazing.
Wasn't very good for me, but I think I took a nap afterwards. Anyways, so Sandy Shocks I thought was gonna be sick, and I thought I was gonna love it, and I do like the design, but I'm just like I haven't found myself really using it as much as I would like to. And then actually, your wife sent me a bunch of. She traded me all of the Violet Paradox. Shout out to Sarah, dude. Iron Moth is incredible.
For you, yep.
Yeah, she did. Iron Moth is insane. I really like Iron Valiant as well. I gotta warm up to the other ones. Iron Treads, I think it's hideous, but the design or the movement of this Pokemon in game is really cool.
I can't with Iron Treads. I hate Iron Treads. That's the only one of these that I just openly just really dislike.
Yeah.
There are definitely some favorites of mine. I feel like I have to mention Iron Thorns. They finally gave us like a true Mecha Tyranitar.
Yeah.
That's obviously pretty cool.
I'm not loving it as much as I thought I would.
I'm a big fan of the competitive side of things, so I have to point out that like Iron Bundle is the greatest buff they've ever given a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because Delibird is not good, and Iron Bundle is genuinely scary. The only, like, common mons in the game that outspeed this thing are Dragapult and Electrode. Like, it's scary fast.
That's wild. Its animation in game is also really cool, how it, like, kind of skis around.
It pops off, too. I like that. I do like the past Paradoxes a lot more, just because to me they were more diverse. You know, all these are robots, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like it to be a bit more diverse. Like Slitherwing doesn't look anything like Screamtail.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I will say Sandy Shocks is one that I actually hated when I first saw it, but I have really grown to like seeing it move around in game, so cool. How it actually walks on those.
I love the magnets,
legs.
The bendy magnets. Oh, so this is the thing, right? We say like, oh, all the past Paradox are like also unique, but they all have tails. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they all have tails. All of them.
Does Fluttermane? Fluttermane is more like it has long hair.
Yeah, I guess that's the only one.
Yeah.
But Sandy Shocks has a tail, which is insane. I never thought
love that.
Magnemite would have a tail. You could see Magnemite right here. That's a Magnemite, and it does not have a tail, and I wish it had a tail.
I will say, too, I feel like and this isn't me complaining about them remotely, but I feel like they just took a random number generator when deciding.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, who came up with Magneton, Jigglypuff, Moongus,
Delibird. Some of these are probably deserving. Brute Bonnet, it's like they were like, oh my god, like what are we gonna do with this? And they did something with it, but it's like they were like, all right, we literally need to commit to whatever we do. And
I wonder what the process was like. I wonder if because we know that there are different processes in Pokemon, like how they create Pokemon.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just kind of will give an area and be like, do Pokemon to fit this area. Sometimes it'll be more straightforward. Like with B-Sharp, they straight up told the artist, like, we want a Steel Dark Pokemon that hangs out in cities. And then sometimes, like with Bassalim, they straight up said, this game doesn't have enough water types. We need another water type. And so they made Bassalim. So I wonder if they just kind of told everybody, hey, make a past version of Pokemon, and they took the ones they liked the best, or if like they actually said, hey, make a past version of Jigglypuff specifically. You know,
yeah, I guess
I'd love to hear the process.
No, I think that is really interesting because they could do like it. I could definitely see that it actually being a random number generator kind of thing, right?
Right.
Or maybe some people just wanted a challenge. I don't really know. I feel like the ones that didn't change enough are like it's like confusing because you're like, well, why didn't it change more? Right? It's like it's a weird Pokemon and it didn't even change that much. It's like if you're gonna pick Mischievous, make it like really different. I could see it with a body, right? Like give it a body, or make it look less like a face. I don't know.
You'd think they would have incorporated like I don't know, some Mismagius in the design.
Yeah, that exactly. But then again, you could have said that with Screamtail. I think Screamtail is really cool because I think it is really cool and it doesn't have any Wigglytuff in it. But anyways. I do want to talk. So I feel like we have all these questions. We're trying to understand a little bit of it. I think more will be explained in DLC, right? We basically have confirmation that time travel exists. I feel like we're actually going over, like, there are more things that I want to talk about. How there's like, Area Zero, the acronym for that would be AZ, right? And then you got AZ Floette. You got, I'm not even brushed up on my lore. AZ is the really old guy from like 3,000 years ago, right? And X and Y and Kalos.
Another thing too is Area Zero. You know, Ground Zero is what they call like, you know, the places where like you know, big bombs are dropped, or like where the World Trade Center fell and stuff. So calling this Area Zero, you know, so similar to like the term Ground Zero. Yeah. Kind of just, I don't know, it almost gives the vibe like something terrible happened here. Yeah. You know,
the common theory right now, which I think is starting to make more and more sense. If it wasn't called Area Zero, right, I think I'd be like, okay, maybe there's no connection. But the fact that the name lines so perfectly with the guy named AZ, right, and AZ's Floette, right,
well,
and which is literally the main part of the plot of X and Y, like 100%, like the common theory that I'm prescribing to is that subscribing? Is it prescribing? Anyways,
I have no idea. We're on YouTube, so subscribing is
yeah. So
speaking of which, you should subscribe to this channel if you haven't already.
Yeah, and if you're listening on Spotify, rate us. The show's not over.
No, look up the
great
ultimate weapon too.
Yeah, the ultimate
picture
weapon
of it, and it looks just like the crystals that grow in
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'll actually, by the time this video goes up, I'll actually have a theory out on my channel on this because I'm doing that for tomorrow at the time of recording. Yeah. But
yeah, right here
it looks just like the crystals that are in the cave in Area 0.
Yeah. So right here, yeah, 100%. I'm seeing that. So basically, this massive weapon went off because of Team Flare. Actually, no. So Team Flare sent it off a second time, right? It happened once.
Yeah, but it just came back down on themselves.
So Team Flare failed. Okay, but it originally had happened 3,000 years ago, right? Yep. Okay. Yeah. So
I will
essentially, this is ground zero for where this, for where this attack or this great weapon landed. The impact of the weapon hit the center of Paldea, and that would make total sense because Paldea is right next to Kalos, just like France is right next to Spain. Paldea is based on Spain. Kalos is based on France. Do the math.
And they did a lot of wars, like in real life. France and Spain had a ton of wars.
Yeah.
I will say I need to double check on this. There's like a whole history class you can take in Scarlet and Violet, and I need to redo it. You can retake the classes, and I think I'm gonna redo it to double check this. But someone told me in my comment section that there was that it says that the crater's actually been around for 1 million years. So
so maybe it just existed.
The ultimate weapon causing it, but
not necessarily.
The thing is that so they call the crater the Great Crater of Paldea. Area 0 they call Area 0. Who's to say the ultimate weapon didn't strike the crater a second time, creating the crystal stuff in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or I guess, do we have confirmation of where the original ultimate weapon went off? Is it in the same location where Team Flare tried to launch it again?
That is, yeah. It's where they launched it, where Team Flare launched it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking maybe that there was a second one that could have possibly been used, but anyways, I think that's cool. So the fact that there's a great crater is cool enough. I think that totally makes sense. That way there's no it's not like there were people and a civilization in the great crater, right?
Right.
And so that's cool. I think what DLC could do is really continue to expand on this, right? I mean, a lot of the comments that I have right now are like, oh, we don't need DLC, we just need to fix the game. DLC's coming, whether you want it or not. It is happening, and I really think
they are fixing the game.
Yeah, and also there's there's 2 sections of the in-game map of Paldea that are blurred out. One of them is Area 0. The second one is literally that connecting area, that connecting land that would connect Paldea to Kalos. This is either southern Kalos or this is going to be a new area that's not Kalos. That's based on, what is it, Andorra? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, or even just the Pyrenees Mountains that border France and Spain. I mean, they could just kind of take that whole ridge and do it there. I mean, you figure Galar was supposed to be like the UK, but it was really Britain, and they added in Scotland with the Crown Tundra.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of stuff that points to some kind of Kalos ties with the post game. For one, we know that once home compatibility opens up, the Kalos starters will be available. And something to note about that is that with Sword and Shield, the Lola starters were available with home compatibility.
Yeah.
And then in DLC, they were made available by doing the Alolan Diglett quest in Isle of Armor.
That's a good
Another
point.
thing, too, is that the Swords of Justice were available in home compatibility, and then they got their own side plot in Crown Tundra. I almost said Isle of Armor, but it was in Crown Tundra. Now, the interesting thing is, and I think this is mind-blowing, so Diancie is in the coding for home. It'll be available when home compatibility comes out.
Oh!
So, interestingly enough, Carbink is in there. Carbink is not in the Paldea Dex, but it will be available once Home comes out.
Oh, wait, can I pause and predict what you're about to say?
Yeah, go.
Is Carbink... Okay, either you're going to say Diancie is a paradox of Carbink, or you're going to say... Okay, that's your... Okay.
It wasn't what I was going to say, but it is.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think that they're going to do something with Diancie in the DLC, because the fact is we know it's tied to Carbink, and if Carbink was in the Dex of Paldea, and I wouldn't think twice about it, but it's the fact that they coded it into the game, so Carbink will be available when Home comes out, but they didn't put it in the Dex. So, it is only available when Home comes out. The only other Pokemon that have this kind of role are the Hisuian evolutions, any regional forms, starters, or legendaries, and Carbink. It's kind of the odd man out, you know?
Bro, okay, so now I'm thinking about... Remember, so way back in Gen 6, right, there was the whole Carbink Diancie thing. That's a thing, right? But then they gave us...
It's in the Dex.
Yeah. So, but then they gave us another mythical Pokemon called Magearna, right? Which was, kind of hideous. It's just this, weird Pokemon that looks kind of like Diancie, but, it's not Diancie. And now I'm thinking, not even that they have to be related, but obviously Diancie would be a more primal version of Carbink, but then you look at Magearna and it's literally an automaton. It's it's one of these future Pokemon where they're mechanical in nature. They're they might not even be they're sentient, but they're not organic. I just think that's interesting
because this is actually really interesting because Magearna is said to be an old robot. It's kind of ancient. Now, there's another ancient robot that we know about and that is Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle's Dex entry actually talks about how it is a robot from a civilization long lost to us. So, Iron Bundle, despite being a future Pokemon, is actually a past Pokemon in a way.
Bro, let's go. That is so cool.
Like I said, they really gave Delibird some love. And Christmas time, too, you know?
Yeah.
So you got the whole Santa thing going.
That's really cool, and that's really cool because a lot of these other Pokemon a lot of these other future Paradox look super technological. That, like you said, they look like they're out of a sci-fi movie. I feel like Iron Bundle looks like Magearna in the way where it's looks more mechanical rather than
looks more like a toy robot than it does an actual sci-fi robot.
And then let me pull up Magear. That's not it. Oh, that is it. Okay, good.
Close enough.
Just so I can show you guys, right now. This is what Magearna is. It's like this weird old. It really is. It's got a gear. Its crown is a gear, right? And it just kind of folds up into this thing that looks like a Pokeball, which is also kind of interesting.
It's an ancient Clink, a paradox of Clink.
That's cool.
Gear.
That's really cool. Yeah, so that's a total side theory. What do you want to see most in a DLC? Because I think we're definitely going to get some new locations to check out. I don't know how much of this lore is going to be laid out for us. I think we might find some stuff. I could see them adding new classes, right? They could be
the thing with Pokemon is they're either going to give us a really, really heavy lore thing where everything is laid out for us, or they're going to give us nothing where we just will have to make another theory video on it.
Which is I'll make more theory videos. They are
right.
fun to make.
I'm totally fine with doing that. I do wish they'd throw us a bone every once in a while, but I most want in DLC, and I am ready for the pitchforks and the fire torches, whatever. I want Megas. Bring back Megas.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
People say that they would be too broken in this competitive game. I disagree because
that makes no sense, dude. They don't care about whether something's broken or not.
Right,
dude. The amount of times I hear people say they're never gonna give this an evolution because it'll have Eviolite and then I'll be busted or it's too broke. None of that matters, dude. They say that they're gonna. The Pokemon Company always says that they're gonna try to make a fair metagame, and then they end up just allowing all of the legendary Pokemon. They don't care. It's not. It's. They do not care.
Yeah, to the people who say that's gonna break the competitive field, I would like you to go back and watch every single world, and you tell me how many Landorus Therians you've counted.
Dude, it's so silly, dude. It's so silly.
I mean, just look at the last Worlds and count how many teams had a Zacian or a Kyogre on it, or both. But
And
that aside,
what a fun fetch quest that would also be, to go on all these little missions to collect, because that was something you did in Kalos. Like the Mega Stones were scattered throughout the region, and guess what? This is an open world Pokemon game. And also too, now you don't have Z moves, you don't have Dynamax. You literally all you have is the main what is it called? Help me out. Yeah, you have the crystals. I just turned into a future Paradox. I just like broke down. Yeah. All you have is the terrestrialization, right? You have these raids. They can also add megas. I don't see why that's a problem.
And also, like, so the Anastar City Sundial, there's a girl in front of it who talks about there's a moon dial too. So it'd be perfect to have a moon dial that helps you find the Mega Stones this time around in DLC.
Yeah.
But even with that aside, another thing too that makes you not have to worry about the whole competitive side of things is I highly doubt that like I'd be able to Mega Evolve my Lucario and then Terra it. It probably,
that's what I was thinking about.
Giving my Lucario a Mega Stone would, like, instead of the little Terrastal button in the battle UI, it would replace that with Mega Evolve.
Just you have an option. That's what it is.
Right. Imagine you could still do one of each per battle. Like, I could Mega Evolve my Lucario, and then when it falls, throw out my Staraptor and Terrastalize it. But, you know, it really, that wouldn't be an issue. And my thing is, Pokemon has made sure to not let Mega Evolution die. You know what I mean? They've done it in Masters. They've done it in Go. You know, while it was absent from the mainline games, they reference Mega Gardevoir in Legends Arceus with that waterfall. They reference Mega Salamence in this game. In the anime, Ash just got his first Mega Evolution. You know,
seriously. Okay,
and, so I mean, he fought a Mega Evolution too. Like there was tons of focus for it.
That's a great point. I think. Okay, so I'm tell me if I'm crazy, right? We're always talking about what's the next remake gonna be, what's the next game gonna be. I feel like the obvious answer is Unova. Then the other obvious, the unexpected obvious answer or wild card answer is Johto remake, right? Now I'm just sitting here thinking we can only ask for so much in DLC for Generation 9 DLC for Scarlet and Violet, right? We can only ask for so much. I think
they won't
temper
give us
our expectations. No, but this is what I'm going to say. I think it's not totally possible, but it's totally possible. It's not likely, but it is possible that I can just see it, man. Pokemon Day 2024, right? They go, you know, we're watching the trailer, and then this crazy upset. We're all expecting Let's Go Johto, whatever, right? Legends Unova. We're all expecting what we think is going to happen, and then they show us. What is it? Ethan.
Pokemon Z.
Yeah, right. Pokemon Z, man. They show us Pokemon Z, and they go, imagine an open world Kalos game. You're gonna have that. This is the remake you're getting. And it's all going to tie into Paldea.
It makes sense, too, because it never got its second version, third version, you know? I mean, so it is, even though it is not next in line, it is do it, you know what I mean?
I don't think they care about that anymore. It's not next in line
because it got skipped.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel, and every time we want to expect something, I mean, dude, do you remember your emotion when you first saw the close-up of Chibi Dawn? That was a meme, dude, for like all year. Like, it was ridiculous. The fact that ends up being a reality, that we got. It was
so traumatic for me. I actually had erased that from my mind. So thank you for bringing those memories back to light.
And dude, and then also we all go, oh, it's actually gonna happen. We're gonna get a Let's Go Sinnoh or something. And then they go after the upset of the reveal of BDSP. Then they show us Legends Arceus, and all of a sudden our hearts are at ease, and we're like, we're getting 2 games, and this one's in the past. Like, that kind of like magic. I can, for whatever reason right now, I'm just literally, I can see myself in a year and a half from now where they show us, they show us the reveal trailer of a Pokemon Z version. I don't know if I'm probably crazy, but I don't even think that sounds that ridiculous.
No, like I said, I could totally see that.
There's too much parallel. There's too much crossover. I think there's answers that need to be solved. It could be a sequel.
Letting myself think it because I'm Lumios Post.
Yes.
Kalos is my fafavorite region. So
I'm Dusty Go Goat. Kalos is not my favorite, but it's a good region.
But I know if I start going Kalos is next, I'll just be disappointed. So I'm going to sit here and keep thinking Johto and Unova, but I will gladly welcome a Kalos region.
So something else that we have not discussed is the third legendary, which there is. I think they show a picture in the game, right? This is the image in game. Essentially, what this is probably, I think, what people are speculating, just what this is speculating it's going to be, is something that's called the Disc World. It's this. It's this.
The World Turtle.
Yeah, the World Turtle, exactly. You can kind of see right here. I don't know how zoomed in this is, but you can kind of see right here that there's like a head, there's like a crown, there's like a flat area, and then this orb right here is the Earth. That's the Earth, and it's like floating above the Earth, which is kind of interesting because then it's like when you think of like a crater. I guess I'm imagining like if this is the Earth and there's a thing above it, it's like a UFO, it's like an alien spaceship. It can just like, or it's like the Death Star, right? It can just like blast a hole in the center of Paldea or something. It's just that this ominous. I don't know. I could see that in a Pokemon game. It's as big as Eternatus, just floating in space. I think that'd be so cool. I think.
Oh man.
Also, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so I briefly searched the World Turtle. I sent a picture in Discord. It's got elephants on its back, which would kind of go along with Great Tusk and Iron Treads, right?
Ooh, that's really cool.
That's the depiction. It gets better than that. So this is the official Wikipedia page that I'm going to read to you about the World Turtle. It says the World Turtle, also called the Cosmic Turtle or the World-Bearing Turtle, is the myth theme of a giant turtle or tortoise supporting or containing the world. Now listen to this. It occurs in Hindu mythology, Chinese mythology, and the mythologies of indigenous people in the Americas. So we have tons of China themes, right?
Yep.
I mean, you've got the Ruinous Quartet. This would just add another, like, for one, a point to, China and Gen 10. But even aside from that, it shows that fits because they are loving digging into the Chinese mythology right now.
Yeah.
Perhaps they'll even tie in, like, the Kami Quartet or maybe give the Ruinous Quartet. One thing I complained about, I want to say, and at least an episode we recorded the other day. I don't know if this one will be up before it or not, but one thing I said was that the Ruinous Quartet, I love them to death, but I wish that they had done more with them, and this could be the chance to do that, just tie all the, like, Chinese mythos together.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. I also think, man, that's really cool, because there's also, like, all the India references, right, as well, and the amount of Pokemon that they've given us. I'm also looking at this image of this depiction of, apparently there is even a name. It's called the Disc Pokemon, right? You can see right here, while separated from the research, does it say separated? While separated from the research team and the crater's depths, I found a strange entity. And what's really cool is that these little these hexagons, right? These hexagons on the Pokemon, right? That looks like Zygarde, which is again a link to Gen 6, but more importantly, this looks identical to the dome, the inside of the time machine. What if this thing is the time machine?
I definitely think it'll be connected to the time machine. My thought process before was, correct me if I'm wrong, do you have the full dialogue of that page about the third legendary?
Did Soul tweet it?
I don't know. Hey, come on, Soul, come through for me.
Come on, Soul, where are you? You literally said you didn't finish the game, but you're
Soul.
You're tweeting out post-game stuff. Let's see. Right here. Okay. A disc Pokemon. While separated from the research team in the crater's depths, I found a strange entity. Whether it was a Pokemon or even alive at all, I know not. It bore a shell with layers of overlapping hexagons and gleamed brighter still than gemstones. So gemstones is, obviously a reference to the Terra crystals. Viewed as a whole, it resembles a mysterious, brilliant disc. So there's literally a disc.
So my idea is the fact that I came across this Pokemon and, like, nothing really happened makes me think that, like, it's in some kind of slumber, and that's very common for legendaries. I mean, you think Eternatus was in a slumber, Kyogre and Groudon were in a slumber, Rayquaza, etc., etc. So I wonder if maybe the time machine and its disruption at the end of the way home maybe awakened it. That's kind of been my idea of where this thing comes into play.
That's cool, yeah.
And kind of found out that people like have disturbed its kingdom, if you will.
I love that.
But, you know, it could be the time machine itself. I could see some kind of really meta twist like that. But I don't know. It's definitely going to be tied to the time machine. I definitely think they're going to link the plot of that to plot of this in a similar way to how in Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, they weren't really standalone. Like, they made the point of having Mustard be Leon's former mentor, and Peony was Chairman Rose's brother. So, I mean, they like to tie things together.
It's crazy. There's like a page here that has nothing on it. So another thing that I'm thinking about is like the time machine is still on, right? And if we're talking about DLC, why would you leave something open if you don't want to use it, right? So like the possibility is there that we could still use the time machine in some way. I don't want to be crazy.
Yeah, it's shut down, but you could turn it back on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right? Yeah, I think you can turn it back on. I'm just assuming.
You could. I would assume you can.
So we saw an Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon that you can actually then go into Ultra Space, right? I love that. What if we can literally go into? What if we go into the great beyond, right? And we go into the future or the past, and there's a little tiny area that we can then traverse that's in the past. And there's
even if it's just like Area Zero in the past or future, I would like that.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to do it. Yeah, because that's true. I was like
lock you into the Great Crater of Paldea.
Yeah,
so
you can't get out of it. That is so cool.
That makes sense because there's no Squawkabilly taxi, so you can't get out of it.
Oh, dude, that is so cool.
That's how they could do that. That might be it.
That is probably what it is. I would, for whatever reason, I was thinking, time travel. It has to be. I was thinking of it like an ultra wormhole where you go to a new place, but it's literally just the same place in a different point in time.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, I don't think they do all the Pokemon that can be found in Area Zero. But what if then some of the Pokemon that are found in Area Zero you can find Paradox versions of them. There were teases this whole time. You know,
that's cool,
Dunsparce is in there. We could finally get the Dunsparce we want, right? But
that's
then also,
so cool.
You do have the options, again, they wouldn't do all of these, but you have the options of Corviknight, Venomoth.
There's some really good ones.
It
doesn't need to be all
Sharp,
Flamigo.
Golduck.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's Gym 1 mon. They're big Gym 1 fans.
Yeah, dude. There's Pokemon
Raichu.
Yeah, I would say Raichu. Dude, we get Gorochu. Raichu, Golduck, Venomoth. Those are all like nothing Gen 1 Pokemon. No offense, Raichu. Raichu is actually pretty cool. But Gorochu, we get like an ancient Golduck. Then we get like a futuristic Venomoth, right? I could see Venomoth becoming like Slitherwing, where it's like walking around. It's like a big fuzzy thing like Venomoth. Like
I guess the counterpoint to that would be that they already did Slitherwing. So it's
maybe not Venomoth, but I mean there are a lot of like underutilized Pokemon. There's Masquerain. Again, nothing Pokemon. It's like why
maybe Glamora itself. That could be kind of
you could see another version of Glamora. Yeah,
get it go full circle. I said it'd be nice if like they did something special like a Gen 9 mon for kind of the legendary we get that can evolve.
Yeah,
maybe it'd be a Paradox of Glimmet that can evolve into a Paradox of Glamora.
Bro, this is a banger theory. I was trying to like imagine where we could go with the time machine, but it really is just like go into it, and then this is the new area that's self-contained. It's already self-contained. It's still Area Zero. You don't need to rebrand it.
I do think we'll go deeper into Area Zero though, because like obviously the third legendary is lying in there somewhere. Well, we haven't found it, So that, and then also Paradox of Beast.
What if there's like two forms, right? Because like maybe not, because maybe if it's the world turtle, it doesn't change for a millennium. Like it just never changes. But like
I mean, even if they changed it between like a sea turtle and a tortoise, give it two forms. You know?
You have one for the past, one for the future. But I don't know if it's like this all-seeing thing. I don't know. I think that's really cool, man.
Very excited for like the lore side of it too. Is like just because it's been a while, I felt like, since we got like an Arceus level mon, where it is like it's something that makes you recontextualize the Pokemon world. Sorry, Solgaleo and Lunala didn't really do that. Zacian, Zamazenta didn't do that. Koraidon, Miraidon, they really didn't do that.
No.
Even though I love them.
They're like simple Pokemon, which is cool.
Right. they're simple Pokemon that are crazy powerful, but they're not legendaries in the sense that like legendaries used to be like the context of the Pokemon world essentially gods,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so it would be cool if this third legendary, this World Turtle, kind of went back to that, you know, just something that, like I said, just recontextualizes the Pokemon world for us.
So Soul Silver Art wrote this little thread. Let's take a look at this. He'll be with us in spirit. He writes, I implore you to read this thread. A lot on the third legendary and what paradoxes could be. Also seems like the 4 symbols on the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet box art remain mysteries. However, we now know that they are tied to Area Zero. These entries imply that these symbols are important.
People said that it was like a it resembles a navigation device. I remember people said that at the beginning because it's like in, you know, a little spoiler for this theory is like it's in the logo for Scarlet and Violet. But I will say I don't know if there's any connection here, but you can actually visit that room that is in. That it's like engraved into the ground, like a crop circle.
Cool.
And that is the one and only place where you can find Iron Valiant or Roaring Moon, depending on the version.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about that is...
I haven't even found it yet, because I don't even know where to get those yet.
You go to Research Station 3 and Area 0, you kind of go to the left of it, like if you've just walked out of Research Station 3, go left, and there'll be these rocks that you kind of have to weave around. There's a cave hidden behind them, and you go through there, and there's a waterfall, there's that thing on the ground. It's very pretty in there.
That's cool.
And
okay.
Yeah, they're rare spawns, so you may have to leave the cave and come back in, but that is where you get Iron Valiant or Roaring Moon, depending on your version.
Right.
I will say, too, we had heard before that there were going to be, like, classes to the Paradox Pokemon. Like, the leaker referred to Iron Valiant and Roaring Moon as nobles. Well, obviously, that never played a role in the game, but perhaps that will in DLC. And also, you know... It would kind of explain, too, why Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant have higher stats than the other Paradox's Pokemon.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I could totally see that, like them introducing some of these Pokemon as nobles, giving them just more of a story beat.
Right. And, I mean, it also would be a good way to kind of, because we talked about how we needed more of an explanation on the Paradox Pokemon. This would be a great way to do it, is, like, explain their classes and all that. I mean... Koraidon is called the Winged King, so clearly him and Miraidon are like the kings. Then you have the nobles, and then I guess the others are peasants. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So this does say a photograph of a spot where the survey team rested on day 2 of the expedition. Note the strange symbols inscribed in the group here. Were they left by explorers in the time of the Paldean Empire, or could they be older still? Regardless, they seem as if they must hold some meaning. So it is interesting that maybe it was left by humans, but this could be something that the third legendary could have, like, I don't know, maybe this is just like what it looks like, or I don't know, maybe it just left some sort of marking there.
Or even, I don't know, it kind of looking like an up-down, you know, almost like a controls on a console. It kind of almost makes me wonder if it's some kind of code to, like, later I think about the Reggies, how there were codes you had to use to get into their chambers.
That's cool.
There'll be some kind of code for something for how you get into the chamber for the third legend when you do find it.
Interesting. That'd be sick. Okay, then the next page says mysterious plates. During our descent into the Area 0, we came across a buried metal plate inscribed with a strange symbol. You can see it here. It kind of looks like an hourglass. We attempted to shave off a piece of the plate, but failed to leave even a scratch. Even determining the nature of the metal seems beyond modern science. We now know why the inscription was made. We know not why the inscription was made, let alone how. So is this the inscription that kind of appears on that ledge?
I think it was on a ledge, yes. I think.
Okay. And then there's also this thing called the Phantom Memory. During our exploration of Area Zero's depths, he goes, I, Heath, strayed from the team and was later found unconscious. When awoken, I could only recall speaking with someone in an unfamiliar place, as if in a dream. This part's weird. I was found holding the page shown here. The handwriting is my own, but I have no memory of writing this. There's like a mind wipe going on.
Yeah, that very much reminds me of think we had this discussion. You or Soul said that you didn't. I think it was Soul said he didn't. You played Daybreak, right, on Legends Arceus?
Yes.
Okay, so did you do the whole thing where, so like if you walk in front of your house, you know, in Jubble Life Village, your phone kind of goes off and like kind of gets you to go inside, and when you go inside, it kind of goes off again and gets you to go lay in bed, and when you lay in bed, it takes you to this like to the little realm that Arceus is in, and it's like a little battle simulator there. It's not really important to story at all, but my whole point in saying this is that line about a dream where he was in an unfamiliar place speaking to someone reminds me of that, when you would go to that dream place with Arceus and be speaking to Arceus in this weird little realm that only Arceus exists in, this pocket dimension, if you will.
Yeah. So it's like this Pokemon, the third legendary, is speaking, could have the potential to speak with people, and just communicate with them in some way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jordan. This is Soul's buddy. We've seen him. I think I follow him on
Jordan's
Twitter.
great.
Yeah. So just shout out to them. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any more theories on this?
I mean, I wish I did. There's so much to unpack, and I feel like, and I love this. You know, Pokemon has never been really big on. I guess this is kind of a fun little note to end on too. That Pokemon is such a they've never been big on kind of just doing grand things, and this is like the first time they've had something where I feel like you can take many different directions with them, and this just, I don't know, I'm super excited to see where all this leads to. I feel like you could make a billion different theories around it with different answers explaining them.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to see which ones are right and which ones are wrong, you know?
Yeah, we definitely want to hear all of your thoughts on this. If you haven't already, write them in the comments. We want to hear all of them. Tell us if there's something more that you'd like us to discuss. If you're on Spotify, rate the show. Make sure you follow us with notifications. If you're on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Lumi, this is so much fun. We're gonna have to revisit this at some point when Soul actually does finish the game, and I think also with that time, we're also gonna be able to further develop some theories, some ideas, and then I don't know. I mean, literally in 3 months is Pokemon Day. We could get an announcement of DLC. So, like, literally, there's a lot of stuff that could happen. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you so much for being here. Lumi, let's send them out.
See you all again.
All right, we'll see you guys. Peace out.
Bye.